And from that opportunity, from the show, you actually have gotten into the gun rights community as well. You've spoken before Congress as a witness, and in gun control bills that during markup, even just recently, even this year, and you've been involved with some of the biggest gun rights organizations in the country, and now you're actually an advisor to a group, a relatively new group called that focuses on Asian American gun owners in particular. And now that group has started to become more active too. And in fact, you just had one of your first training events, right? And you, the group filed an amicus brief in the Supreme Court's gun carry case. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been such an exciting time. So the group is called APA GOA, stands for Asian Pacific American Gun Owners Association. And our core focus is on safety, education, and community. We aspire to be a big tent organization, right? So we're apolitical. We want to really zero in and focus on bread and butter gun safety education. And, after about, almost 2 years now of racist attacks against Asian Americans, there are so many APAs in the country that are looking for information on gun usage, on safe gun handling, how do you buy your first firearm, and some of the more kind of traditional Second Amendment and gun safety outlets are not necessarily meeting the needs of APAs throughout the country. I think what's been, what's fascinating for me is clearly I'm Asian.
Right. For anyone listening who's not aware, I guess you can.
Yeah, for anyone
people on YouTube watching can figure that out probably. But
but if you're just listening to the audio, last name Cheng is Chinese. I'm actually half Japanese as well. And I grew up in Southern California, where race was something that I've always been aware of. Right? That yes, I'm Asian, but it's never been something that I've felt the need to talk about, because I've always just thought to myself, well, it's obvious I'm Asian, and I don't know, like what's there to talk about. But the past year and a half or two has really changed me, where I live in San Francisco, and back earlier in the year, there have been these attacks, particularly against elderly Asian Americans, here in San Francisco, in New York City, and some of these victims have died. And I have extended family here in San Francisco that are in their 60s and 70s and 80s. And these are the same ages of victims that are being attacked and sometimes gravely injured and killed. And that just triggered something in me and said, okay, look, I have not really addressed my Asian American heritage. And up until this point in my life, it hasn't really been relevant. But this has been a key driver of why I wanted to be on the founding board of APA GOA, is a way of establishing a nonprofit organization that is there for the APA community. And we're not exclusive, right? So you don't have to be APA, right, to join APA GOA. Right, if it doesn't matter what ethnicity you are, just we have a lot of allies right across the ethnic spectrum. And what I think though, if we start double clicking right into what is APA GOA wanting to do that is unique and impactful? One thing that I'm very excited about is translation. You have a lot of Asian Americans who don't speak English as a first language, who can't read or write English very well necessarily. And, to be very frank and transparent, like I used to come from a place where if you live in America, you should speak English. You should learn how to read and write English. And if you don't, that's sort of at your own detriment. But when it comes to the sanctity of life and the concept of self-defense and the Second Amendment, I don't believe that language barriers should get in the way of somebody defending themselves with a firearm, right? So my mental paradigm has totally shifted. And what I hope and what I think is a way that is more open, that's more thoughtful and empathetic around immigrants, right, who are here legally, right? But if they don't speak English very well, or if they just don't at all, how do we still help that significant part of our population learn how to shoot a gun? If they're interested in buying a gun for self-defense, how do you fill out the 4473 background check form if it's all in English?
Right.
Can you have a translator there with you? Does that mean it's a straw purchase, though, if you have somebody there who's, right, translating this, government form for you? Right? There's a lot of these kind of questions that I don't think have been really addressed head on by any particular group or organization. So I'm excited that APA-GOA, right, that we will be a group, and hopefully there'll be other groups, right, who can help shine the light on this part of America's population that, again, doesn't necessarily speak English, but they should still have the right to defend themselves with a firearm, right, if they're an American citizen or if they're a resident or a green card holder.